I'm Jacob Laddie, and this is Crash Course. The Ming Dynasty emerged as a power that would rule over China for 300 years following the displacement of the Mongols. With a goal to re-establish traditional Chinese culture, the leaders of this dynasty combined old teachings with several new ideas to maintain internal stability in a large agrarian society. The manner in which the state was fashioned would govern China for more than half a millennium.
Mr. Laddie, what do you call a Chinese man with a camera?
What, me from the past?
Phil Ming.
Thanks, me from the past. Before the Ming Dynasty, the Mongols served as the courteous and charitable rulers of China. Now let's go to the thought bubble to learn about the political structure of the Ming Dynasty.
Hated for their supreme dominance and suppression of native Chinese traditions, the Mongols were targeted by the Chinese in an effort to drive them out and regain control of the region. Factoring in the weakened Mongol hold on the region as a result of Kublai Khan's death, rebellions by the Chinese soon overtook whatever oppression the Mongols had over them, paving the way for Hung Wu, the first emperor, to step into a leadership role. Hung Wu was born into an impoverished family, forcing him to lead a modest lifestyle. In order to obtain his basic necessities, he attended a monastery where he found solace in Buddhism, and soon caught the attention of military commanders who recruited him for his raw talent despite no formal training. Gradually, he rose up in ranks to attain the position of commander. During Hung Wu's rule, he was able to engender a tightly centralized state through an allegiance with mandarins and eunuchs, who served as government officials. Eunuchs were more trusted and relied upon by the Chinese rulers because they weren't allowed to have children that could possibly pose a threat to the emperor in the future. Both the mandarins and eunuchs were key components in the success of the government, mandating a consistent code of policies throughout the realm. Following Hung Wu's efforts of reviving traditional Chinese culture, Yang Li, a later Ming emperor, is known for commanding naval expeditions. These Western hemispherical voyages reached as far as Malindi in East Africa. Through his participation, Chinese culture diffused across the Indian Ocean and helped to establish the Ming as a world superpower, giving them an opportunity to position themselves as global explorers. In order to protect China, Yang Li relocated the previous capital of Nanjing to a region of northern China known as Beijing. The motivation behind this change was fear of a Manchu or Mongol invasion from the steppes, prompting the completion of the Great Wall of China.
Several problems arose in the Ming Dynasty that eventually led to its downfall. Pirates became a serious issue as the imperial maritime forces were incompetent.
The poop deck, and I never veer to starboard, 'cause I never sail at all. And I've never walked the gangplank, and I've never owned that ferret, and I've never been to Boston in the fog.
And could not successfully defend the Ming coast. The later emperors became increasingly disconnected with their realms and subjects, preferring to spend their time on selfish desires. This caused the piracy to grow unchecked and allowed other government officials to take over the governing of the Ming Dynasty, ultimately leading to corruption.
The breaking point of the Ming came during a severe famine when the government could not provide sufficient support to thousands of starving peasants. Tired of witnessing countless examples of the government's ineptitude, the peasants began a massive rebellion. At the same time, the Manchus invaded China and formed a successful alliance with the peasant rebellion, bringing an end to the Ming Dynasty.
The economy of the Ming Dynasty linked China with global trade networks, stimulating commercial expansion.
In fact, the economy benefited from Japanese and American silver, which stimulated trade and commercial expansion. Other products include silk, porcelain, lacquerware, and tea.
Zhang He led naval expeditions to Java and Malindi while also intervening in local conflicts in Sumatra and Ceylon. He also oppressed locals in southern Arabia and Mogadishu. All in all, his voyages spread Chinese presence throughout the Indian Ocean basin. Global trade items within the Ming Dynasty included silk, porcelain, lacquerware, and tea, which benefited the economy as these products were desirable by consumers in the Indian Ocean basin. The Chinese imported spices from Malacca and also exotic products from tropical regions.
The Ming Dynasty was distinctive in its culture, including the censoring of documents, Neo-Confucianism, new technological advancements, foot binding, and the effects of printing.
5 minutes left.
The civil service examination was seen as the gateway to social elevation and fabulous wealth in the Ming society. This exam was open to any Chinese male, regardless of social status, and if one did well, then he would be a candidate for a government position or local office that would bring fame and prosperity to him and his family. However, the key to success was a strong formal education that not everyone had access to, giving an advantage to the wealthy class over the poorer people who could not afford education.
Let's go back to the thought bubble to look at the social structure of the Ming Dynasty.
The Ming Dynasty was socially stratified into 4 main categories, with the elite class on top. This class was composed of prominent government officials, the scholar gentry, the emperor and the royal family, and wealthy nobles. Though they were the smallest class in terms of population, they wielded the majority of the wealth and power in Ming society. Next came the working class, which consisted of peasants. Farming was the main occupation of these peasants, whose most important duties included rice planting, watering, harvesting, and eating. Merchants were perceived as parasites who preyed on the noble and hard-working peasants. This class was made of private merchants and artisans who helped China's economy by engaging in frequent trading with societies from around the world. They were particularly interested in acquiring silver, which was a prized commodity because of its important role as the official currency of the Ming Dynasty. Lying on the bottom of the pyramid was the scum of Chinese society. Known as the Mings, they included slaves, societal outcasts, and Jacob as a child. Society rejected them. The only chance for social mobility in the Ming was a civil service exam.
The elite class often had slaves to order around and run errands for them. These lords would sometimes make their slaves carry them to a marketplace where they would shop for any products they desired. The merchants in China were not legally protected by the Ming government. Farmers in the Ming were responsible for providing food for themselves and also for the elite. The scholar gentry were also part of the elite class in the Ming Dynasty, as their power was supported through their advanced education.
I, the merchant, sell things and make more money than you stupid peasant.
You just say, I the peasant does honest work and you are a parasite. Foot binding is an ancient Chinese tradition revived during the Ming Dynasty, reflecting the male dominance of their culture. Yeah, that's nasty. Bring us on cue. Come on. Yes. Yeah.
In addition, the Ming government practiced censorship to discourage traditions of other foreign cultures. Upon Hongwu's arrival, he made it his goal to eradicate all traces of the predecessing Mongol culture, simultaneously boosting Chinese traditions. Among the encouraged traditions, Neo-Confucianism was implemented through the education system, including within the civil service examination. Also, in the education system, many literary works that were crude fiction and illogical were censored and banned. The only literature allowed were works that resembled the styling of Yang Li's encyclopedia. The overall population enjoyed visiting local tea houses and wine shops over reading popular novels.
As overall literacy increased, novels became more popular and more literary works were spread due to printing. Also, more leisure time was available because of societal advancements.
An open letter to foot binding. But first, let's see what's in the secret compartment. It's a marshmallow.
Dear foot binding, why must you be so twisted? You break people's hearts and foot bones for no apparent reason. Your existence serves no purpose other than to further impose dominance over women in China's patriarchal society. Women can't take advantage of the many great opportunities in their lives, including rice planting, rice watering, rice harvesting, and rice eating. You claim to make girls more desirable for marriage, but you really just deform their feet and make me sick. Best wishes, Ashton Carr.
The The completion of one of the most iconic architectural feats, the Great Wall of China, rebuilt and strengthened nationalism and identification with the state.
The Jesuits portrayed Christianity as a very similar faith to Chinese cultural traditions. The true meaning of the Lord of Heaven compares the values of Confucius and Jesus. Despite their cultural diffusion, the Jesuits converted few because of the strict doctrines that Roman Catholicism required. Also, the Jesuits experienced competition with Franciscan and Dominican orders, which desired similar results as Christianity. The Ming dynasty signified an age of grand contributions in culture, technology, and political order. This era is marked through strengthening of cultural and economic exchanges between different societies, allowing for China to be known as the dominant world power under the reign of the Ming dynasty.